Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimple the Limp, and I'm back with a little bit more about Snapship Tactics. Now, this is a game that I talked about previously, and I wasn't going to do another video until the Kickstarter was getting ready to launch, and it's actually getting ready to launch here in about 4 weeks. I have been talking to them and found that out. Turns out they saw my original video, and they sent me the link for the Discord, so I've been chatting with them, asking some questions about the game, and I was able to get a little bit more information. Well, I kind of got excited and I was like, screw it. I'm going to do another video, do a little preview and explain a little bit more about how the game's going to be played because I found some more information on it, right? So I went over and a lot of the stuff I was telling you guys earlier was me guessing at what the ships were going to be, what it was going to do, how it was going to play. So I've got a little bit more information. One, I know that it's going to have PvP and PvE, right? Whether or not it's going to launch with PvE, I'm not 100% sure, but I know that is in the works. That was one of my always biggest when it came to X-Wing, because there was such a huge desire for that gameplay besides just playing it heads up, you know, other types of games. I mean, people invented the Aces High type of gameplay, which I love. Aces High. One of my favorite things. If you don't know, you would get 60 points. Like instead of a game being 200 points back in the day, it's 2.5 now, which they changed to 20 points, which is dumber than hell, regardless. Anyway, let's say instead of playing with a normal 200 point list, you would pick one ship at 60 points and you could gear it out however you wanted. And you'd have anywhere between like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people all on one table. A lot of fun playing it that way. So anyway, like I was saying, I got a little bit more information, and as we can see here, it shows some more of the cards clearly, right, of what the game's actually going to be. So I did ask them if the toys themselves were going to be able to be used, like if you could take those parts and integrate them into the game. And for the most part, that answer is yes. Everything isn't going to be included right off the bat. It might get added in later. The one that I showed you guys that I had that little build video going previously, not going to be included right off the bat, but there are some that you can get, like the Saber and the Scarab. Those are two that you can buy right now, just the toy box itself, and build the models. But you'll be able to use those parts in game. So if you wanted to kind of jumpstart your collection, you can do that as well. But looking here, this is what they call a chassis card. Now, the closest comparison would be a pilot card from X-Wing. Okay, so that gives you the basics of your ship. You know, its hull, its weapons values, the actions it can take, shields, all that type of stuff. The difference is this has like the pilot card, but you can kind of do a fair amount of adjustments to it. It's not just static. It can change up. So in X-Wing, you could add missiles or you could add droids or stuff like that. But the layout, the card itself pretty much isn't going to change. You might be able to squeeze an extra shield or hull or make your turns a little bit better, but that's about it. With this, you can go in multiple different directions. So you see it shows the chassis card, and it gives you stats like hull, power, size. You see up here at the top, it shows the Saber is a size 4 ship, but there's going to be multiple of these Saber cards, all right? I'm going to scroll down here in a minute and show you guys, but it's like having multiple versions of X-Wings that you can use, and you can kit them out in different ways. So you see it shows its size, its values. Down here we've got like its speed and power. I'm assuming this is turning radius, and I still haven't figured out what this big L with a little mark on it is yet. I'm trying to figure that one out. Have to look on it. But below it, it shows you the parts that you can add to the ship, which I know this is cockpit. I think that's engines, wings, and then 3 of whatever parts you want. These gear looking symbols are like, do what you want, but you have to have wings, engines, cockpit to core the ship, and then do the rest, whatever you want to do with it. On the back of this card, so this is the front of the chassis card, and on the back of the card, this is the Saber 1 Fast Recon preset build. So think of this as your very most basic layout for the ship, and it shows you exactly what you're going to plug onto it. Your cockpit, your engine, your wings. It's got extra maneuvering fins that you can put on, an auto cannon. The way the chassis itself is going to be clicked together, and the extender. I think that's a missile pod, right? That XRE extender. Yeah, I think that one's a missile pod. So basically, it'll give you a default do this to get yourself started, but it's not the end all. You can change that up and do something else later. But you see here, this is the Sabre XB-04 light bomber. This one's going to be set up different than the way the other one is. Oh, and something else cool is that a lot of these chassis have special abilities. Think of it kind of similar to a pilot ability that whenever you, like this one, the Sabre, whenever you launch missiles, you may add one additional heat to that part to launch one additional missile. Who doesn't like extra missiles? Extra missiles are always cool. So here we have a fast recon default build, which looks like this, right? You see the way the ship's laid out, all that good stuff. But down here is a bomber build using the same parts and looks completely different, and it's going to function different, but it's got the same basic core layout. God, I'm going to order, I swear to God, I want to order the Sabre and the Scarab just so I've got extra parts, because I want to Frankenstein the shit out of this thing when this game releases. I swear to God, I'm looking forward to it so much. I've never been this excited for, well, I've been excited for plenty of games. Love Core Space. I always talk that one up, and Enemy Action Ardennes and Kharkov. Been talking that one up a lot. Don't get me wrong, Snapships is just right up there at the top. I'm very excited, looking forward to this, because I've always wanted something where I could like custom build my ships and play out a game with it. So you see here, it's talking about how this light bomber supports the same 6 parts: cockpit, engine, set of wings, and then 3 additional parts of any type: missiles, guns, fins, heat sinks, electronic countermeasures, boosters. You can build it however you want, and that's kind of like adding your cards, your add-on cards in X-Wing, and then you're going to get those parts to play off of each other to make yourself more maneuverable, or to give yourself a lot of just firepower. So if you dump a lot into firepower, then you're not going to be as maneuverable. You're not going to be as fast. You might not dump as much. You might just put some light guns on it, but then you can add extra boosters and fins and heat sinks, so you can just zip around the battlefield. Now, I don't understand why they call them this. I'm going to have to figure this out. Ask Scott and the guys about this one. Add as many greebles. I guess that's what they call them, the parts cards. Greebles and panels is needed to flesh out your model and make it look fantastic on the board. But build your custom model any way you like. Keep the cube count and overall size roughly in line with what's pictured on the chassis card. There are bigger and smaller chassis cards if you need them. And then you see the parts here that you're going to add to it, and it shows the power and heat and maneuverability, turning radius, like maneuvering fins. Looks like it gives you extra turning. The auto cannon here, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see these a little easier. But like this auto cannon, it looks like it shows you the arc, right? So we've got a front 45 arc on that. And then I like this, it's got 4 range bands. So it looks like we've got like short range, medium range, long range, and then extra long range. Well, that auto cannon's only going to work at like short and medium. But if you look at the missile pod right next to it, it's 180 degrees. So it covers the entire front half of your ship and forward. And it doesn't work at short range. I like this when you have to kind of make some concessions. Saw this in X-Wing where you couldn't fire it that closest range to your ship because some of the weapons don't work there. They need time to arm or whatever it is. This one, it's only going to work at medium and long, but it can't work at short and extra long. Now, this is just what I'm calling these range bands. They might call it something different. But remember, these missile pods, that chassis has that special ability that you can dump extra heat and fire more missiles, which is always awesome. Okay, I had to zoom in a little bit better so I could see these. But this is all some of the different chassis cards. So it's the same ship, but it's configured in all these different ways. And this is what I really like about this, is that they don't look the damn same. So if you were flying an X-Wing, you're flying an X-Wing. They're all X-Wings. Doesn't matter what you kit out on it. It's not WYSIWYG. It's not what you see, what you get. Well, with this, you can WYSIWYG the shit out of this thing. It can be what you see is what you get. You've got a fighter, you've got a light bomber, you've got fast recon, you've got a scout, you've got an escort, you've got, what is this, ground assault, you've got an experimental fighter, you've got attack craft. Look, it's the same damn chassis card, but it's configured in all these multitudes of different ways with different add-ons, different weapons, different heat sinks, different wing configurations, and they look cooler than hell. But you can see on the chassis card, it does show some differences, like the amount of cubes that you get to it, the amount of hull is different. Some of them might have different turning radius. Some might have more power, like these lower ones look bigger. The escorts looks a little bigger, ground assault, experimental fighter. But this attack craft actually is a little bit smaller. The scout, a little bit smaller, like you would expect, but it looks like it can do a double turn. And it's a little bit faster, but it can't equip as many parts. The scout over here can only equip 5. Experimental fighter, it looks like, what is that, 8? 8 on the ground assault, another 8 over here. Oh God, I would build that. So looking forward to this. It looks cooler now. Come on, put it out now. I want it now. Give it to me now. I have to get the toys just to play with them to see how many configurations that I can come out with. Now, I'm thinking that the core game is going to come with a saber and a scarab. So these two chassis here. And I'm 100% guessing here. No idea. I've not seen it said on Discord yet, one way or the other. But they might do, cross our fingers here, extra ships as add-ons, as stretch goals, as something like that. That would be a very easy thing for them to stretch goal. So just as an idea for the Scarab here, built in different ways, it looks like the Scarab's a little bit lighter, but a little bit faster, maybe a little bit turnier. We've got an Interceptor, we've got an Assault Striker, Light Fighter, Stealth Craft. Ooh, Stealth. I wonder if it's got like stealth stuff in it. And look at this, speed of 3. I think this is power and turn, like a single turn and then a double turn, but I still don't know what that L represents. I'm gonna have to figure that out. But again, less parts. This one's only got 5 parts. So the stealth craft's going to be very maneuverable, just zipping around the board, kind of like Interceptor, you know, the TIE Interceptor, right? With what's his name piloting it, but not going to be that punchy, right? Not going to withstand a whole lot of firepower, but it's going to zip all over the place. But then you have right down here next to it, Heavy Fighter, which is going to have more power, more weapons, more parts and stuff attached to it. What does this say? Deep Recon. Oh, that looks cool. I like the quad wings on that thing. A fighter bomber, a support fighter. So that's what I'm talking about. You have the same ship that can be put together in a multitude of different ways. So with one ship, you've got effectively 8 ships, just depending on how you want to put it together. And I'm just curious as like how much customization is going to be just put right into the hands of the player. I would like to see, and this is just me spitballing, okay? This isn't them saying this is me spitballing, like a blank chassis card, right? Just whatever you want to put onto it. No engines, no nothing. Nothing but missiles. Nothing but missiles and guns. Just a block with missiles and guns all over it. It'll just sit there and shoot at everything. That's what I'm going for. Oh, okay. And I was just noticing a lot of these chassis have different special abilities too. During a collision, you may re-roll 1 die. When you move S, so maybe the move, okay, maybe this is the movement. Okay, so you may move L instead. So there's short movement and long movement. That's what I'm thinking this is. So maybe you can do a turn and then a short move, right? That's what that represents. Or this one, the stealth craft that I was talking about earlier, can do a turn, a long move, and then up to 2 turns, right? So maybe a 45, long move, and then up to a 90, right? So it can really zip around. Okay, that's really starting to make sense. But yeah, this one has different passive. This passive, when you move short, you may rotate 1 after, so it can rotate even farther. You cannot be targeted at range 3 or further, so that's the stealth ability for the stealth craft here. When you attack a target directly ahead, reduce the hit number by 1. Each time you overlap a terrain tile, gain +1 evasion for this recon. Passive for the fighter bomber: when attacking a target that has one or more missile or torpedo tokens assigned to it, you may reroll 1 die. When you attack a target at range 1, reduce the hit number by 1. All right, so it's going to change, just varying depending on what you want. Do you want to be more maneuverable? Do you want to be more punchy, more defensive? That's going to determine what type of chassis you want to start with. And then you've still got the options of what parts you're going to add to it, because you can still choose the weapons and junk that you're jumping on there. Do you want more heat sinks? Do you want to focus on guns? Maybe if you're more maneuverable, you don't want anything at long range. You want to zip around behind your enemy and just shoot them up at short range. Or maybe you want to try to just stay out of their line of fire completely and have nothing but long range weapons. So long range weapons, heat sinks, and maneuverability, just so you can stay out of their line of fire for as much as possible. See, this is what I'm talking about. So much of the choice just gets put in your hand in this game. And I'm expecting good things, because I know some of the developers now have worked on X-Wing. And again, X-Wing is one of my all-time favorite games. I've played massive amounts of X-Wing tournaments, had a blast with it. And this is like X-Wing on steroids, toys that I can play with, that I could mold, right? One of my favorite things is always like building my squad in a game. Whatever war game I'm playing, I like kitting out my squad. Warfighter back in the day. Kitting out the squad with what weapons they're going to carry, ammo and body armor and all that cool stuff. So now I get to apply that to ships and trying to figure out the best build for them, or something that's just wacky. I am so looking forward to this thing. So anyway, I will put some links down in the description so you guys can check this out. Just make sure you do. I know it is previewed on Kickstarter right now. It's not revealed. It's just notify me when it launches. So make sure you're clicking on that notify me button if you haven't already, because this one I think is going to be one people don't want to miss. And again, just so I make sure it's clear, no conflict of interest or anything. They haven't sent me anything. They haven't offered me anything. I'm just excited about the game. I think it looks cooler than hell. I can't wait to try it out. This all me saying that. They haven't done anything for me. All right, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them down below. Anyway, you guys take care. I'll see you in the next one.